This is Keep On Cooking, a podcast for people who love cookbooks and want to know more about the authors. It's also a great place to get a weekly dose of culinary inspiration to keep things pumping in the kitchen. So grab a cookbook and keep on cooking. I'm Dustin Harder, and this is Keep On Cooking. Hello and welcome to Keep On Cooking, the only podcast dedicated to plant-based cookbooks. I'm your host, Dustin Harder, and I came here to slay, but now I just want to lay down. I hope you're having a fabulous week so far. Today, I'm going to be joined by a very special guest. Lauren Toyota will be here from Hot for Food, but we are talking about another author's cookbook, not one of our own. We will be joining forces to chat through Vegan Japan, 70 Comforting Plant-Based Recipes by Julia Boucachard. Before we get into this week's cookbook, I want to mention a couple new books on the scene. In December, we got Proper Healthy, 80 Plant-Based Recipes with a Boost by Callum Harris. Eating healthy means missing out on foods you love, right? Wrong. If you're looking for a no-nonsense way to eat well, then Proper Healthy has you covered. Callum Harris has done all the hard work for you, working with a registered dietitian to create easy plant-based dishes that come packed with up to 4 health benefits to boost your meals. Whether it's helping your gut health, upping your protein intake, restoring energy levels, or eating low-calorie meals, this unapologetically tasty, hassle-free recipes are guaranteed to deliver. From brunches and quick eats, puds and pick-me-ups, I'm going to assume that's puddings. I could have pronounced it puds too, but it says Puds, puds. Puds and pick-me-ups. This is a book for anyone who cares about what goes into their bodies and what food can do to their mood and energy. It's good for anyone looking to stick to a plant-based diet or for plant-based eaters looking for healthy inspiration. Callum has been making vegan food with a good mood since 2019, and this is his follow-up to his first book, The 20-Minute Vegan. So you can get this book, Proper Healthy, 80 Plant-Based Recipes with a Boost by Callum Harris, now everywhere books are sold. And the next one we want to talk about here that came out in 2024 is called Vegan Pantry, 10 Staple Ingredients, 100 Plant-Based Recipes by Katie Biscow. Divided up into 10 of Katie's favorite store cupboard ingredients, Vegan Pantry provides year-round recipes that will satisfy and delight, with exciting recipes ranging from grapefruit and fennel salad to date, chickpea, and lemon tagine. This book is not only the go-to cookbook for new and established vegans, but also for home cooks looking for effortless ways to bring plant-based meals into their kitchen. The modern world of vegan cooking can often be confusing, but with a list of easy to source store cupboard essentials, useful kitchen equipment, and details on common vegan substitutions, you'll be able to produce delicious food every night of the week. If this sounds like something for you, if it's up your alley, Vegan Pantry, 10 Staple Ingredients, 100 Plant-Based Recipes by Katie Biscow is available for purchase now. And now it's time for that segment, No Reason Not to Know Something. So we're talking about the cookbook Vegan Japan today, and it got me thinking about sushi. So I said, listen, ChatGPT, or hey Google, somebody tell me, when was sushi created? So the answer I got: sushi started in Southeast Asia around the 2nd century as a way to preserve fish by packing it in rice that would ferment. It later spread to Japan, where during the Edo period, 1600s to 1800s, it changed into a dish where fresh fish and rice were eaten together. In the early 1800s, the version we know today, fish on top of rice, was created as a quick street food in Tokyo. By the 1900s, thanks to better refrigeration and global travel, sushi became popular around the world. Over time, different variations of sushi rolls emerged, and when sushi spread internationally, especially to the US in the mid 20th century, creative rolls like California roll and other fusion styles gained popularity. David and I have become obsessed with this sushi place here in Chicago called Blue Sushi. It just has like the best list of vegan sushi rolls. And it even was doing Veganuary. So like every week a certain roll was only $5. I think the one we're in love with is the cowgirl roll. It's got like a barbecue seaweed wrap paper on it. It is so good. Anyway, so Blue Sushi in Chicago. If you get around here, you want to get some vegan sushi for yourself. Now, as mentioned, Lauren Toyota of Hot for Food is my special guest slash co-host ultimately for today. And at the time we recorded this episode, this certain very special thing hadn't happened yet. So I feel it is important to mention it because this last week, a collaboration Lauren did with Fresh Kitchen and Juice Bar just dropped in Toronto. That's right. Fresh locations are serving Lauren's famous buffalo cauliflower sandwich. So for a limited time only, you got to make sure you get it in on this, Toronto people. If you want it, you got to get in on it. It's a limited time only. They are serving the buffalo cauliflower sandwich. It's a stack sandwich. It has crispy buffalo cauliflower bites, a tangy ranch dressing, pickled red onion, lettuce, and tomato on Fresh's incredibly soft toasted bun. And I am so sad I can't try it. So I hope one of you dear listeners will try one for me and send me a picture. Tell me all about it, because gosh, it's got all the flavors you want. The crunchy, crispy, spicy buffalo cauliflower bites with that luscious, creamy ranch dressing and that perfectly pickled red onion that's going to have that tangy, sour bite to it with all those other delicious ingredients. And then for some texture, we got some red onion and lettuce and tomato on there too. So it's just good stuff all around. Now, I mentioned this in the show with Lauren today, but it's worth saying a couple times to be crystal clear, my darlings. The author of Vegan Japan, the cookbook we're talking about today, is Julia Boucachard. Now, she was invited to be a guest to talk about the book herself, but she politely declined because she isn't doing English interviews. So Lauren and I had both received a review copy, and I had asked Lauren if she wanted to be back on the podcast because I just love her and I love talking to her. And I said, hey, pick a favorite book. She's like, well, I just got this one. I really like it. And I was like, oh, they sent it to me too. So it seemed like a great one for us to chat through together. And there's lots of fun stuff we want to make in it. So here she is to get chitty chatty with me all about food and all things with me and peel through this lovely cookbook, Vegan Japan by Julia Boucachard. It's my very special guest and hey, the co-host of today's show, Lauren Toyota. She's built a vegan empire, one hot for foodie at a time, with her popular blog and YouTube channel, Hot for Food. Among many other stellar contributions to the vegan landscape, she gives kale a proper glow up, and her tofu has more personality than your last date. It's the goddess of popular comfort foods veganized. Please welcome back to the Keep On Cooking podcast, a very special guest. It's Chef Lauren Toyota. Welcome, dear.
Hi. Best intro ever.
We're trying.
You made original. You didn't just read from my bio. I love it.
No, I had to give you some of that snappy cred there, giving kale that glow up always and forever, right? We're going to lean into our icebreaker question here. Yeah. So I know you're a very busy working mom. If you could clone yourself for just one day, what would you have your clone do?
I don't know if this is a clever answer or a lame answer, but I would have the clone basically do everything and I would go to sleep. I would like to sleep for 36 hours straight under some kind of substance that allows that to happen because I'm so behind in sleep. I don't sleep good. I have a 2.5-year-old. It's just what it is.
It's a thing. I hear you. Have you always had trouble with sleep?
Yes, my whole life. I have this theory, without getting too deep, but like I'm sort of hypervigilant and I feel like I'm a piece of prey. And like the biology is like I'm always on high alert as though a predator is coming to get me. So I'm very aware of like every little sound and every little thing. And I did grow up listening to my parents fight when I was sleeping. So that's, I think, why.
Wow. Yeah. Isn't that
weird story?
No, but rooted. It's rooted. I have always had trouble sleeping. And when we just moved to Chicago about 5 months ago, and we were in Atlanta the last like 4 years before that, couldn't sleep there at all. Got here, I'm sleeping like a baby. So life.
That means you're in the right place. You never slept well in Atlanta at all.
Not without the help of some sleep aids of some sort,
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever got a good night's sleep. Well, if I had a clone for a day, along the same lines, but I think And you and I have had food
Mm.
blog conversations for years, and I finally just started it. I think I would have my clone do all of like the technical admin things that I just can't comprehend. I mean, I only get them for a day, right? Was that the question? We get it for one
But,
day.
like,
So
I'd assume the clone is, like, even bigger capacity, like, it's more like a robot maybe? 'Cause that
yeah,
I'd wanna do that too, like, it does more than what I'm even capable of.
right, right. I would say like cram a year's worth of work into that one day on that blog, get it going. Go, 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 go.
That would be amazing, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. We have plans. Great. Well, listeners, you can hear more about our fabulous guest on her previous episode of Keep on Cooking. That's episode 24, where we chat about vegan comfort classics. Do I have it lined up there? I do. 101 recipes to feed your face and hot for food all day, easy recipes to level up your vegan meals. We also dig a bit deeper into her history with cooking and how it all went vegan, not to mention her history as a much music VJ and nationally recognized TV host and producer. But today, let's look to the present and the future, darling. So, Lauren, Hot for Food has evolved since we chatted last. Mama, dare I say, yes, chef, what is happening in the world of Hot for Food these days?
Yeah, well, having a child sort of created a huge, obviously, identity shift, and it definitely makes work feel less immediate and important because you have a new priority that takes precedent. So I became what I was saying unmotivated, but I just was like burnt out. Like to be creative and the way I was so creative for many, many years, just pumping out stuff. It's like that all went to everything else, breastfeeding, changing
Yeah.
diapers, like all that stuff. So like I've struggled over the last couple years just of like how do I continue doing this and expand it and do what I love and what are the parts I do love. And so I found this year, I figured out that like content was really what was burning me out. The amount of which you have to output to kind of stay so like relevant in the
Mhm.
algorithm. That's different than when I was like doing it full time. Way different. And I was like, I can't keep up with that, so I'm just gonna let it be what it is. Release content when I can, but my focus, I was like, I just want to be cooking. I actually want to cook for people. And I guess it was a bit of an internal like mindset shift of like owning the fact that I've got 10 years of cooking and recipe development experience and getting to own like, no, I am a chef. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a home chef, but I'm a chef. Like, and it took me a few months to really just like own that. And I'm sure other people who are in our positions can relate to that because chef comes with a whole array of perspective and cachet and what. And I just wanted to be like, no, I'm a chef and you can hire me. I want to be a personal chef. So I just put it out there. But this all was like my internal struggle of like trying to get to that place where I could actually own this and do this. So I started something called Hot for Food at Home, which was like, you can hire me for a special event, cater your shower or your engagement party or your birthday party, or I could come in your home and do meal prep for the week and leave you instructions on how to reheat everything, just like a variety of different services. And I thought LA is the place to be doing this. So I started that in March, April-ish, and it's been pretty good. I've got a handful of gigs and even repeat clients.
Nice.
And I think it's just a matter of word of mouth and that becoming more of what I do. And I've been doing a pop-up here in LA at O'Lock, which has been amazing. And again, it's all these like word of mouth, networking connections that sort of bring up these different opportunities. I've started doing some like back of house gigs with some colleagues out here. So I was part of a team that did like the Hollywood Climate Summit food, which was all
Mhm.
vegan, and we did the Be Kind experience. And I'm doing an event in a couple weeks with the same crew of people. So it's been really fun to just like get my hands in the food at a much larger scale than when you're developing a recipe for like 4 to 6 people.
Yeah.
Even catering my friend's bachelor party, which was like 24 guys. A
Uh-huh.
lot of food, 3 meals a day plus snacks. And like, I really had fun. I think like because the creative burnout's there, if I can just keep my hands busy and be kind
Yeah.
of like a bit of a robot, I actually like that right now because it just gives me energy. I do like the feedback of people responding to the food, right? So that was a very long-winded answer, but that's like where I'm at. I stopped my membership. I had a membership for a couple years with like
Oh, yeah.
exclusive paid content. I've cut back and pretty much not even posted on YouTube. I haven't done any long form like how to cook videos. So that's just where I'm at right now.
Do you find when you're the interesting thing I'm feeling now is when I do need to do an event,
Mhm.
whether it's big or small, whatever it is I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? And then I'm like, oh, I have all of this material. So when you're saying as long as you can keep your hands busy, I'm just thinking, yeah, because like ultimately what you're doing is, and I say air quotes here, but like the easy part, the fun part, right? You're getting to cook and you've created all of the things to cook with. Like the hard part was developing it all. And you
Yeah.
actually have this backlog of material now where you're like, oh, they're having this party, it's a bachelor party, I can like do these appetizers, do this thing. Like you have the menus, you've got it all sort of like floating around in your head and also all over the internet. So isn't that nice to have that and turn
Yeah,
to?
it sort of paved the path to be in this space. But what's also fun about it is like I don't have to follow recipes. So when you're
Yeah.
creating a recipe, you have to be so detail oriented with all your measurements. But I'm at the level, and people have seen me do this on my YouTube channel, where I just whip up sauces and I just whip up stuff. And that's what I can do when I'm cooking for others because I already know what tastes good. I already know how to season. I already know the base of a cream sauce,
Mhm.
you know? So
Yeah.
I'm having more fun just like pulling the stuff out and throwing it in a blender. And every time it works out, which is like, yes, you've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah. And
So
then if it doesn't work out, you kind of have you're like, ooh, I can fix this.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the recipes being in print and published. It's like, oh
Yeah.
God, I actually would change this now.
Yeah.
Years later, I'd add way more of the spices or whatever. So I get to do that. And then it does reaffirm my skill, right? Like it
Yeah.
makes me go like, oh yeah, I actually know what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, if people want to hire you for the goods,
Yeah.
they go to hotforfood.com. Is that where they find
Hotforfoodblog.com. So
Hot
the
for Food
same
blog?
website I've had for a decade. And on the main page, it just says book me. And then you can basically check out a calendar. We can have a consultation call just to find out what it is you're looking for, the calendar in there. So hotforfoodblog.com. And then click on that Hot for Food at Home button. And
I love
really,
it.
it's really just up to your imagination and what you want to do. And I can pretty much make it happen.
Yeah, I've seen the videos. I've seen some very happy customers, it looks like, and a very delicious birthday cake that was
Thank
posted.
you.
I mean, I can't imagine. So also it's just like having the energy of Lauren Toyota in your home with a birthday cake. Are you kidding me? Happy birthday. That is a blessing. People get into it. And you've got, so I think this episode will come out after, but I just want to tell people because I think
Mm,
this is so cool. You're doing a collaboration with Chef Chris Tucker, is that
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For Thanksgiving. So tell us a little bit, even if this comes, I think it's going to come out after, but I still want people to know that it happened and like maybe there will be more. So we
There
should
could
invite.
be more. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is like our first run at this. Chris is the one who has essentially been giving me these back of house gigs because
Love
he's
it.
kind of like a freelance food and beverage director, and he has a lot of contacts in the industry. And so, like, he's the one who's hired me. We became connected just through the community, so it was great. Again, like it's all about who you know and who you meet. So he's been a great ally and colleague. And so because we've been together so much anyway, I think it was like, let's do something else. What else can we do? So we put together this holiday menu, and you basically pre-order it before Thanksgiving and then pick it up in LA. We're going to rent out a kitchen. So it's a multi-course holiday meal with like everything, all the fixings, all the sides.
Yeah. Can you tell me what the menu is? I want to
The
know what you
main,
decided.
yeah, the main is a puff pastry wrapped mushroom walnut Wellington with a very
Mhm.
savory gravy. We did a cranberry orange relish on the side. There's a classic green bean casserole. There's truffled scallop potatoes, fennel and herb stuffing, a kind of fall salad with roasted Brussels and mixed greens, vegan feta, candied pecans, and currants. And then two desserts, apple crisp with oat crumble and um, pumpkin pie trifle.
Mm.
So
Mm.
people can order the full menu or they can pick three things. And yeah, there's like options.
That's great. Usually it's like all the whole menu or nothing. You get what you get, or you don't get nothing at all.
We did do that the very first day we launched it, but then as things flow, we were like, oh, and then the next day we just added the options
Yeah, yeah,
and made it
yeah.
different. So it was okay. It's not like we got like an immediate influx of like a
Yeah.
bunch of orders. So we're still just promoting it, getting the word out. But we did get a few orders, and we're just gonna see where it goes. Like we don't have any expectation.
Sure.
And again, I think it's just something fun for us to do.
Well, and what I love about this too, when I think about food businesses these days, they're so hard. A restaurant is so hard. Catering is
Oh God.
everything is so
Mhm.
hard to keep it open, to keep it going, to keep it flowing, to keep the customers coming in. When you do something like this, the waste is minimal because you know how much you need to order for the exact amount of orders, and you can feed the people appropriately, and then you're not left with a bunch of product at the end of the day, or overstaffed or understaffed or anything like that. You kind of are able to set your game plan for it.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a very responsible business decision.
Yeah, same with doing these pop-ups at a partnering restaurant. Like, we take RSVPs, so I know how much to cook for, and then I add like 10 extra servings.
Right.
And it's a manageable amount that I can prep in advance and finish it in their kitchen. And again, it's not wasteful. And because I've now been in their kitchen and seeing a little bit of how they operate, and they're a wonderful restaurant, Olak, they're in downtown LA, as well as in, oh God, what's the other area they're in? Olak. Anyway, look them up. There's another location.
I was gonna say I haven't had it before.
But yeah, there's such a great restaurant. The chef's amazing, the staff are amazing, and they're like, we're kind of doing this, like doing each other a favor in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
But to see how a restaurant operates and just all those moving parts, like I can't imagine going into that like by myself and taking that risk on by myself. So at least I'm able to dabble a little bit. I still don't envision myself ever opening a restaurant, but I think doing these kinds of pop-ups or special ticketed events, that's definitely the direction I want to head in. Because again, you don't have that liability kind of and overhead.
Yeah. I have a really good friend who does Friday night dinners. Shout out to Soj Foods
Mm.
in Carlstadt, New Jersey. She does Friday night dinners. It's called Underground Supper Club, once a month.
Oh,
And she has all of her other private chefing and everything. And then this is like once a month she gets to flex her creative muscles in a different way this way. And it's a beautiful like 6-course meal around not family style, but around a community table. So like people come in, they just chat with each other. I finally was able to go to it in New York when I was in New York a couple of weeks ago. Took the bus over to Jersey.
nice.
But it was so great. It was so special. So these like one-offs like that, I think
Mhm.
really have like a nice vibe to them as well, because people come in with a different excitement than they normally do to like just going out to eat at a
Yes.
restaurant on any given night,
Yeah, so we'll see where that expands to. I mean, I'd love to do other cities or locations even too, if anyone's
Yes.
listening and wants to bring hot for food in.
Yes. Oh my
You know
gosh.
what's so funny is, so even this, I've been thinking about doing like private personal chefing for a bit because I knew it was like just something I wanted to do. I wanted to cook at a bigger scale. And then of course social was reflecting all that content. Like, I'm a private chef in the Hamptons. Look what I do. And there's this like glamorous look to it because it's content on social.
Oh, sure.
But like food service and cooking is the least glamorous thing. And it's not like that surprised me. I already knew that.
Yeah.
But that's the difference between like being a content creator and making some recipes and making them look good and styling them, and then trying to replicate that for so many people. Like, it's grueling work. Like when I did the bachelor party, and I loved it, but it was 18-hour days for 3 days in a row by myself. Now in hindsight, because that was the first time I did it, maybe I could have brought in an assistant or a sous, which I'd probably do next time. But regardless, I did it. And it was satisfying, but like, you're dirty, you're sweaty, you don't stop, you don't eat, you just drink from your bottle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like, I don't know if people realize that these private chefs are making it look one way when it's really another way, especially when it's talk.
I just thought it when you said, you usually stand there, like you get in your role and then you have to go to the bathroom for like 4 hours before you actually go to, because you're just like in it and you're like, no, there's no time for that right now. I'm just going to forget that's happening. Yeah.
And like, I've only had like a tiny taste of that. Like, I think I like working on the line. Honestly though, not every day, all day, every day of the week. That's why people resort to substances in the restaurant industry, because it's a crazy schedule.
Yeah, I worked at my last job in Atlanta. My supervisor in that was telling me he worked on the line he stopped working on the line at restaurants because he was like 35 and had a heart attack or something on the line. And I was like, see, and that's restaurant culture too, right? Like, I had another run-in with a chef like 2 months ago, actually, where I was like, actually, I need to go. This is my limit. And he goes, there's no limits in the rrestaurant. And I was like, you may not have boundaries, but I do. And there's a reason this is not my full-time job, because I'm not doing this to myself. Like, I like my body physically can't handle it, but it is exciting when you do it, right? So there is this like thrill of it too. But like to your point, when you're doing it every day after day after day, that's very hard, exhausting work. Bless. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, we
bless
went on
the
a
people
tangent.
who do it because as a customer of a restaurant, you completely take it for granted.
Yeah.
I was a waitress for a long time, so I have that experience, and I know it's a different vibe than the kitchen, but it's that same, like,
Yeah.
relentless kind of everything's so dramatic and important.
Everything's so dramatic.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it's just food. It's
It's
just
just
food.
food,
Yeah.
exactly.
Let's get into it a little bit. Well, that's what's happening at Hot for Food. So check everything out at
Mhm.
hotforfoodblog.com. Bring Lauren to you with her lovely services and all that delicious food. You know, some of the videos you've been doing before I move on,
Mm.
I love when you're trying products in the
Oh,
last
thanks.
like year. And I feel very similar in some of your reactions in that often I see things and I tried a thing. Yeah, I'm not gonna hold it up right now. It's sitting in front of me. Someone gave it to me. I'll show it to you
You
when we're
gotta
done.
show it to me after.
Um, but you tried like a mac and cheese or something, and you were like, "It's not good. It's not bad." And I feel like with so many vegan products I try these days, I'm like, "It's not good." Like I'm not gonna buy it again, but like
Yeah.
it's not bad. I honored that this person, like people were a team of people worked on this and like put it out there. But like, do you find that's like are you
Mhm.
having that reaction often to vegan products
Mhm.
where it's not good, it's not bad, it's kind of like it happened, it's here, and
Yeah,
thanks?
and I don't understand the kind of CPG product development, food science contingent of this industry, and I'd love to know more about it out of my own curiosity and love of food, but I never understand how so many products get on the shelf.
Yeah.
And if all of us are going to buy it once and that's it, well, that can't possibly work. And I always just wonder, like, who tasted this?
Yeah.
Like, are they non-vegans? Are they vegans? Are they chefs? Are they food scientists? Are they business people? Like, I really don't get it. There's a lot more terrible things than there are good things.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just like to say, like, get this one.
Yep.
If it's a cream cheese, it's like this one's my favorite. And of course, everyone has their own opinion.
Yeah, of course.
Like this one is hot for food approved because this is what I like.
I felt the same way. I think you felt this way about the Reese's peanut butter cups. Weren't you kinda like,
I liked the Reese's peanut butter cups,
"Okay, I
but
like them, but I'm also kind of like, why are they not why we waited so long for these?"
I think that is what I thought because I'd rather buy the Justin's ones
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
or the Unreal.
Or the Unreal.
But
But
yeah,
I
Reese is the original peanut butter cup brand. Why isn't it better? Yeah.
I just don't get why it's not. I remember distinctly the original because it was a
Mhm.
favorite, right? So I'm
Mhm.
like, why isn't this more like that? Why are we getting this thick edge of chocolate on it? And like, why is it so different, right? Now, mind you, I still eat it.
I would eat it, and if I saw it in the store, I rarely find it in the store. So
Yeah.
if I saw it, I'd probably buy that.
I mean, when I'm in New York, if I'm in the Times Square area, I pop into the Hershey's store and
Mm.
I grab like I grab they had the miniatures the last time, so I got those. So like
Oh,
but anyway, we're tangenting, it's my fault. So listen,
good.
I asked if you wanted to come back and I asked if you had a favorite book you wanted to chat about, and you said you'd gotten an advance copy of this book right here. And I had also gotten an advance copy, so the
Yeah.
Universal line. So today we're going to chat through Vegan Japan 7 Comforting Plant Based Recipes by Julia Boucachard. Easy, homey Japanese recipes veganized. Now, listeners, to clarify, I always give the author first dibs to chat about their own book, but the publishers told me that Julia would have loved to participate, but was not doing English interviews. So instead, you'll have me probably mispronouncing things a lot. I'm going to do my best. And Lauren is here to help me. And together, we will highlight some recipes from
Yeah.
this book for you.
Yes, I want to be very clear. This is not my book. I just want
Yes.
to be very clear. And also,
Yes.
I'm not necessarily going to get all the pronunciations right because I'm half Japanese. I'm Japanese Canadian.
Yes.
I didn't grow up speaking Japanese. My dad is Japanese. He didn't speak Japanese. My grandma and my aunt did a little bit. And I was thinking about this today. I was like, if my mom was Japanese, I bet you, just because the mom is the one that sort of like, encourages and preserves, I'd probably be a little more Japanese than I am if my
Sure.
mom was Japanese.
Well, that's all right. We will muddle through this
Yeah,
together. I have confidence in us, but we are letting everyone know this is not our book. We're going through it.
yeah,
We're going to talk about what speaks to us. I'm going to do a little summary here of the book. So we've
sure.
got warming soups and slurpable noodles, refreshing vegetable sides, indulgent street foods, adorable bite-sized desserts. Japanese French chef Julia Boucachard grew up devouring all of the above. When she went vegan, she was determined not to give up any of her childhood favorites. In vegan Japan, she shows that cooking nourishing, flavor packed plant based Japanese food doesn't have to be complicated. With an emphasis on seasonality,
Mhm.
balanced flavors, and simple techniques, this is her plant based celebration of Japanese cuisine and the myriad of vegetables that make their way onto the Japanese plate. So the book is also chock full of beautiful photography, everyone, and really fun illustrations. So if you're a visual, the book has you covered there. So in this introduction of the book, we get a glimpse into where the author is coming from here, having grown up splitting her time between Tokyo and France. After becoming vegetarian and then vegan, she found her options when dining out were drastically limited. So she became a self taught cook and
Mhm.
started a catering business. Oh,
Catering.
look how this all aligns. She now runs Mori Cafe in Paris, where she shares plant-based recipes inspired by her childhood,
Mhm.
which is what this book is inspired by as well. So, Lauren,
Mhm.
the internet was correct here. It said you are, well, it says Yonsei Japanese Canadian.
Yeah, Yonsei means like third generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So the internet had something right. Look at that.
Mhm.
So now I'm curious, have you gone to visit Japan?
No, it's like my absolute dream trip. And when I go, it needs to be like a pilgrimage. Like I don't just
Yeah.
want to go in a layover and go to Tokyo and leave. Like that would
Yep.
be so sad and depressing. I want to go and take the time to explore the different regions and definitely go to where my family originates, which the name is escaping me. Fukuoka, which is a
Okay. Okay.
fishing village. And it was interesting because reading Julia's history, talking about Japanese cuisine is vegetable heavy because so much of the landscape is farmland and not necessarily has
Mhm.
access to the coast. Like even though it's on the coast, there's a lot of farmland inland, which is where the seasonal eating comes from, like respecting this, what's in season and the cycle of nature, and then just the fact that they just had crops available to them. So there's lots of like um, Japanese vegetables
Yep.
that are used in so many different ways, and that's my favorite part. And I use so many Japanese ingredients in different ways because they're kind of some of the most flavorful. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of where umami comes from. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
The home of.
Yeah.
And in terms of Japanese culinary techniques and offerings, have you ever done a deep dive or do you have a favorite that comes to mind or anything like that?
Well, I'm ashamed to say I'm very bad at making sushi. I've tried to do it a few times
I'm
and I
not
just
great at it.
can't seem to get the hang of it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
She has a recipe for homemade udon, which would be really fun to
It
try.
looks
I
so cool.
would like to try that because I love udon noodles.
Yeah.
Um, Now this is interesting. There's a special on or a series on Netflix. I forget what it's called, but they talked about like um how like the tempura, right, which is Japanese. There's like tempura shops, like street food carts and whatnot. I've always been good at deep frying, and when I saw that, I somehow was like, maybe I'm good at deep frying because of my Japanese culture. Like it just sort of comes naturally that I can be very delicate with it and get the batter to be delicate, which is something you have to be very conscious of when you're doing tempura.
Sure.
So I don't know. I like to think that even if I'm bad at making sushi, I'm good at deep frying. So I think that's really the only technique.
Have you done a tempura of your own? Do you have one on the Hot for Food blog?
I have a very old sweet potato tempura recipe
Okay.
on the
Okay.
blog, and I
All right.
just haven't done any more with
Okay.
any other vegetables. But I love the kabocha squash, which is the Japanese
Yeah.
pumpkin. That's my
Yeah.
favorite squash, and I would love to do. I should just take that same recipe and do it with that.
Yeah. Maybe you'll get even more inspiration from this then.
I have. I mean, going through it for our interview, but also when I got it, I was like, oh yeah, there's certain things I don't even know about, and then there's certain things I'm like, oh yeah, I remember eating that at the Toyota picnic or at one of the relatives' house. So every year we have the Toyota picnic, the last Saturday of June, and
Love
all
that.
the generations and all the Toyotas get together at a big outdoor park, yeah, and when we do games and we have everyone brings food, and so there's like 6 picnic tables lined up with
Ah,
everyone's dishes that they brought, and so some of it's American comfort food, but a lot
sure.
is Japanese food. And when I was a kid, that was really my access to it. It was all the older relatives that would make these things, and so they'd
Yeah.
be on the table, and of course, as a kid, you're a little bit picky, but I would try stuff. And so there's a lot of like, I don't know, memories from certain dishes that are in Julia's book where I'm like, oh yeah, we used to eat that. Oh yeah, I've had that. Oh yeah, I didn't know it was called that. I've had that, you know?
Awesome. Oh, right on. How
Yeah.
many people show up for this Toyota picnic?
Back in the day, it used to be like 100. It's
That's
gotten smaller
amazing.
because people have sort of dispersed. Also, people
Yeah.
away, but now it's fun because all the little cousins
Yeah.
come and it's like they're all a quarter Japanese.
Yeah.
So you see like the seniors are the Japanese, and then you see these like kids that are basically blonde, but like
Yeah.
maybe they have like the eye shape. I don't know. It's just cute. It's really cute
Yeah.
to see the generations. Yeah. And
Oh,
that's
I love
when I
that.
see the extended family really now is at that picnic.
That's so cool. I love
Mhm.
that y'all are still doing it.
Mhm.
Well, from the jump, Julia talks about essential ingredients like rice, mirin, soy sauce, sake, miso, tofu. She even gets into vegan dashi. So dashi
Mhm.
is dried fish flakes, listeners, usually, but a vegan dashi is a flavorful Japanese broth made by simmering kombu, which is dried kelp, and shiitake mushrooms, offering a savory, umami-rich base for soups, stews, and sauces without using animal products, which we love. So she really covers some ground in this ingredient section. Any favorite ingredients in this ingredient section for you that you keep on hand already
I'm in a
regularly?
talk like this, and it kind of inspired me. I was like, oh yeah, I should just have dashi in a jar in the fridge, ready to use for all kinds of things.
Right.
Instead, because I feel like I'm so North Americanized, I have like the vegan chicken stock cubes. Like that's what I
Mhm.
go to, but I actually should be going to kombu shiitake dashi. I like in the condiments the ponzu. I mean, you can buy ponzu, which is like a citrus soy sauce, and eat
Mhm.
that with sushi. And that's kind of like my favorite flavor, especially yuzu, which is Japanese citrus.
Yeah.
So that's how she makes her homemade ponzu with rice vinegar and the kombu dashi and then yuzu juice. So that would be my standout of like, if you want to pick one condiment and use it on lots of things, it would be that, even glazing tofu with it, dipping your sushi in it or your kimbap or whatever if you buy that pre-made.
Mm. I love that she's got chili oil in here. Also, Kalanomic, which, we'll explain it for days for
Yeah.
people, but when you want that eggy taste, Kalanomic has you covered. And as basic as it may seem, miso's in here, basic meaning to like me, because I say it all the time, but like I still find it hard. It was my mission when I was on the road a lot more. I'd go into
Mm,
grocery stores and be like, do they have the miso? Where
mhm.
is it? And sometimes I'll find shelf stable miso. Sometimes it'll be in a cooler by the hummus or something. And then sometimes they don't have it at all. Ask and they'll take me to like a miso soup packet. And I'm like, we're so close. We're almost there. We need to get miso on these shelves because I want every grocery store to have it. I think it's
Yes.
so universal and brings so much great flavor to stuff.
I agree. It definitely should be in your fridge. And if you follow my recipes, I do use it a lot, not just in things that are like Japanese. I use it all over
Right.
the place. Yeah. Actually,
Lo-
I'm moving ahead, but there's a miso recipe that I wanted to tell you about.
yes. 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 Well, we'll get to the miso. So for the first chapter is basics. Lauren, for basics, did anything call out to you in basics as an item you could use for yourself over and over?
Well, definitely that ponzu,
I was just gonna say, I
yeah,
thought
the
that too.
ponzu,
Yeah.
the kombu dashi. And then I've never had Japanese mayonnaise. I guess it's just a little bit more sugary. Um, but hers looks good because she makes it with silken tofu. She also adds the kombu dashi. So I'm very inspired to just make that now. Kombu, actually, I use in my ramen recipe from the first book. Kombu has natural MSG. Like, actually, when you see kombu in the pack and you take it out and it's
Mhm.
got all that white powder on it, that's where all the flavor comes from. So I have kombu in my cupboard, but I've never ground it down. So
I've
I'm
never
gonna do
even thought
that.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
I haven't done that. I feel silly, but I'm gonna do that.
Well, I feel silly every day. Welcome to the club. The one I have my eye on in here, going back to the miso of it all, is the miso glaze. And I'm going to read the header so
Mhm.
we get the voice of the author in here a little bit, everybody. Julia says, for anyone with a sweet tooth, nothing is better than this miso glaze. It is also a true umami bomb, as miso is rich in glutamate, an amino acid responsible for savory flavor. This sauce is great paired with eggplant, dang, dengaku.
Dengaku. Dengaku.
Dengaku, yeah. And so she's giving you places where you can use all of these wonderful options as well. And like you said, she even teaches us how to make udon noodles in
Yeah,
here.
that's one I've got flagged with my sticky note. I really
Oh, me too. So she says about this, whether you prefer them hot or cold, everyone loves udon noodles. They are unique among Japanese noodles because they contain gluten, a stretchy protein found in certain grains like wheat. The dough is traditionally kneaded by foot after first being covered with a clean cloth to develop the gluten and give the udon its signature texture, soft with a firm interior. Kneading the dough takes some patience, but the results are worth it. So are you going to make these?
Yeah, not with my feet, but when I read that as
Yeah.
well, I was like, I didn't know that. That's so cool.
I know, right? I know. At first I was like, "What?" And then she goes, "Covered with a clean cloth," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, then. All right, all right, all right." So you've never made udon from scratch before? I haven't either. And when I was flipping through this, I was like, yeah, please, I'm gonna be doing that. Thank you so much."
They look so good. Can we show the picture? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. They look so yummy.
I have a great Asian market near me, so I can buy like fresh udon in the fridge section. So sometimes I just cheat, obviously, and do that.
Yeah,
But it'd
yeah.
be a fun, rewarding task to make my own.
Well, and it's probably gonna be one of those things where like it's so good and you may only do it once or twice more,
Mhm.
maybe. But that even if you do it just the one time, it's gonna be so worth it. It's
It's
gonna be
kind of like
so
when I
yummy.
did the sourdough starter during COVID. I actually thought I would never make my own sourdough bread ever, and I made a starter from scratch. But then I killed it after a year, and it's like, fine, been there, done that, don't need to do it anymore. It's too much work, but it was fun while it lasted.
I listen, listeners, if you're not watching, I nearly fell off my chair because during the pandemic, everyone was on their sourdough kick, and I came to it late. And I had an awesome author on the podcast who wrote the book Bread, Bred. Have you heard of this place? It's in Vancouver.
BRED. No, I should
It's a
feel like I
bread, like a bread cafe, essentially. Natasha Tatton and Ed Tatton, that's the
mm,
owners. But there's all this, there's like pages about sourdough starter. And I was like, I'm gonna do this before they're on the I'm gonna
yeah,
do it. I tried maybe I attempted, and I just my patience and like all the million other things I have going on, I was like, do this thing, that thing. I don't know what happened. Okay, I'll try starting over. It was just all so I have yet to excel in the
actually do
sourdough.
it.
I feel like my moment will come. I'm not giving up. It's probably gonna be like at a cabin 15,
Yeah, you
20
need
years from
time because
now.
you have
Yeah.
to keep checking it and feeding it. And then there's this point where I remember it was like, oh, I think this is ruined. But it's like, nope, see that through.
Yeah.
And then I had a really good starter that I made.
That's where
Yeah,
you
I
just
almost gave
nailed
up
it.
too.
Yeah, you just got it. That's what happened to me. Well, we go right into main dishes here with curry rice, miso butter ramen, bento, saburo don, zaro udon, kabocha stew, teriyaki tofu don, and ramen with soy sauce and garlic. So when we're looking at the main dishes section,
Yes.
what speaks to
Well,
you?
definitely her miso butter ramen. And I went to that because I started using miso mixed with vegan butter a lot, especially during the development of Hot for Food All Day. I was just like, I don't even know. I don't know if I saw it somewhere. I don't know. But I was just like, of course, these two things should go together, like the fat, the salty fat from the butter, and then the very salty, flavorful miso. So I have a ramen recipe that's just totally different than this. So I would love to try making hers. And you'll note she mentions red miso in hers. Red miso is a little bit stronger than I typically have
Right.
mellow white miso
That's
in my
like
recipes.
in my fridge. If I run out of it, I freak out a little bit. Like I need
Yeah,
it.
I know.
It's got to be there.
Mellow white is the more common one that you will find in regular grocery stores, but red miso is very nice and flavorful. So the miso butter ramen I really like.
I
Yeah.
pulled one of my books off the shelf because when we were saying miso butter, suddenly I was like, I feel like I even did something. And I'm like, what did I
Oh,
do? I think I
cool.
did a miso garlic bread actually.
Mm,
And it's like miso and butter and it's like all the good things. Miso,
yeah.
butter, cheese, all on there. Anyways, I was drawn toward my American ass was drawn towards the Neapolitan.
I was gonna also pick that because it's so. I'd have never had like
Right.
spaghetti with ketchup. It's kind of like the Filipino spaghetti as well, like that.
Okay.
From Jollibee, you can get. Is it? Oh God, I hope I'm not saying the wrong culture. I think it's Filipino.
Is
Ketchup.
Jollibee a pasta restaurant? What is
Oh,
Jollibee?
Jollibee is like Filipino cuisine, but I think it's like fried chicken, but they also have spaghetti made from
I see.
ketchup,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
very popular. So this is like, again, it's like all of these cultures sort of fuse and mix together, where she
Well,
talks about that dish having
yes.
ketchup in it.
And that's when I was like, I need to know. I was like, I'm drawn to this, but then I'm drawn to it more out of like curiosity, like, how did this
Mhm.
end up in here? What's happening? So here's what Julia has to tell us listeners. She straight off says, I'm sure you're wondering why there is a spaghetti recipe in a Japanese cookbook. You might be surprised to learn that this dish is, in fact, a Japanese creation. The Neapolitan spaghetti, sauteed in a sweet ketchup sauce with onions, peppers, and sausages, is a wafu pasta conception, a pasta dish that's been adjusted to suit Japanese taste. It is often found in children's bentos. Oh, could you imagine you open up your bento and
Mhm.
that's in there? Yes, yum, 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 yum. Often found in children's bentos and was one of my favorite meals when I was young. To make it a little more interesting for the grown-up palate, in the Japanese we call it the otona no aji, or adult taste. I add roasted cherry tomatoes, red wine, and peppers. Ah,
So it's
this
interesting because it's got the makings of like a traditional, bolognese with the red wine. But
right.
I put balsamic in my sauce, but she put soy sauce obviously in this, which would add a really good richness.
Yes, and I love that she's roasting these tomatoes off the jump too, so you're
Yeah,
getting those,
roasted
like,
cherry tomatoes are just delicious.
yeah,
Oh
you're getting, like, juicy. Oh, and she puts 2 vegan hot dogs in it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
See, I didn't see that part. I didn't
So
see
that would
that.
give it a smokiness.
Yeah.
Even Worcestershire, the soy sauce, like it's got a lot of richness. So I really don't think it's gonna taste ketchup-y.
Well,
It's
no,
almost
and then we've got that bird's eye
adding the
chili
sugar.
too, so we're
Yeah,
getting, like, lots of different flavors balanced out in here.
yeah.
That's
The
kinda
ketchup's, I
wild.
would say, more just for color and sugar. You know what I mean?
At first, I just thought it said 2 tablespoons, and now I see that it says
A
half cup
half
plus
cup
2 tables
plus.
I was like, "Lauren, it's only 2 tablespoons. What do we mean?" And then I was like, "Oh, never mind, never mind. Okay. The base is there. The base is a
Yeah,
half
but
cup in
when it's
full
cut
force."
with all these other deeper flavors,
Yeah.
red wine, soy sauce,
It's
Worcestershire,
like
it
a
sounds yummy.
elevated adult ketchup base,
Yeah,
basically. I
because 'Cause I'm
love
not
it.
even a ketchup fan, but I do think it has a purpose. I know I don't really like ketchup with my fries.
So what do you like with your fries then?
Like ranch or like garlic aioli.
Support. I support all of these things. Do you are you a mustard fan?
I
Fan?
love
Fanned?
mustard.
Great. So you're a mustard fan. We are too in this house. Love it, love it, love it.
Like,
Like,
sometimes I just want, if I have a burger or a hot dog, I only want, like, mustard,
uh-huh.
pickles, onions. I don't want ketchup.
Do you like different types of mustard? Or are you a
Um,
strong only yellow mustard? What's
I
your
actually prefer
relationship here?
Dijon. I prefer
Okay.
Dijon over yellow. Yellow I use in cooking sometimes, like, mixed in with other things.
Yep.
I actually it's always Dijon's the first choice for a sandwich, for anything.
Amazing. Okay. I love me some mustard too so much.
Yeah.
It's just I like to dip my my fries in mustard. Is that
No
weird?
way! I mean, to each their own.
To each their own. Yeah, I don't care if it's weird. If
I've
it's
ever
weird,
done that.
I embrace it. Yeah, it's all good. Well, that is our main section. And any other honorable mentions for you from mains before we move on to side
Oh,
dishes?
yeah. Well,
Anything I skipped over you wanted to say?
yeah, she does a series of donburi, like rice bowls, which
Yes.
I think is great because those are some of the most comforting things of Japanese cuisine. And there's like tons of different variations of donburi. I'm probably saying donburi, donburi. But anyway, I like the one where she recreates the fish, which would normally be tuna, I believe. The maguro don,
Okay.
maguro don, page 58.
I'm looking at the one with the eggplant right now, and I don't usually like eggplant, but it
Me
looks
too.
really good. So 58 Magoro Don. Oh yes, what does she recreate? Oh, it's a
So
large
it's
red
just
bell
like a
pepper she's
marinated
using.
tuna, but it's bell pepper.
Nice.
Yeah, and it
Mm,
looks delicious.
so these bowls look like they're typically lots of good, hearty, healthful things on top of
Mhm,
rice. Then, yeah,
mhm.
I love
Even
that.
the soboro don looks good,
What's
which,
on top of that one?
she's got tofu scramble, and, the meat she used a lot of TVP in here. Um,
How do you feel about TVP? Do you use a lot of TVP?
I don't, but I I should, because it's the cheaper option for like a
Sure.
meatless meat instead of buying like one of the brand name products. It's
Yeah.
very inexpensive. And it really is good once you treat it right, like once you've got the right amount of sauce and liquid in it
Mm-hmm,
to really
mm-hmm.
hydrate it, and then like get a good sear and get the crispy bits. Like I do think
Yeah.
it's really a good product to use.
Well, there's one
I
I've
don't
only seen it in the crumbles. Have you
Well,
seen
that's what
it?
I mean. I don't like, there's Butler soy curls, which are a little
Right.
different than TVP. I guess why I don't use TVP is because it's not very easy to find anywhere in
She taught
American grocery stores.
Yes, yeah, because I've really only seen the crumbles and I've made stuff with it, but then I tend not to lean on it because I'm like, oh, I don't really need that. Like I don't think of it as like something that it's not my go-to, right?
Well,
But
the crumbles, you mean it's like very much like ground round.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's like
I like whatever she's getting, where she lives in France or something. It's
she's
like
getting like medallions, she
and
said.
medallions and chunks, which, yeah, like I don't know where you get that. I haven't found that anywhere.
But I feel like that would be a much different story because when I move into the side dishes section next,
Mhm.
it's loaded with great things like miso soup and kimchi, but it's got this karage.
Okay, yeah.
And that is where she's talking about using like the chunks of TVP. And I was like, my mind was kind of because when I looked at it, I thought, oh, for sure, that's seitan. And then it's
Yep.
textured vegetable proteins. She says chunks are medallions. In her words here, is it, how do you say it? Did I
Karage.
karage?
Roll the R, kind of karage.
Karage is Japanese fried chicken that is marinated overnight in a mixture of soy sauce, sugar, and garlic. Yum, yum, and yum.
Mhm.
Then coated in potato starch and fried. It is a very popular side dish in Japan, especially in bentos. Again, put it all in the bento. It can be served with mayonnaise for richness or lightened with lemon juice. Textured vegetable protein chunks or medallions imitate chicken well. Julia, send us a package of medallions. That's
Seriously,
all
and
I'm
even in
saying.
the bottom, she says it's at Asian markets and some specialty vegan markets or health food stores. I have to say, they're not at the Asian market that I go to here in LA. I've looked, and they're not at Whole Foods. I mean, I don't know what other market I could go to, like in my general vicinity.
I wonder. I may edit this out later, but I'm just gonna do a quick search on everyone's favorite, least favorite online shopping platform.
Yeah, do it. I want to see what comes up.
TVP. Let's say
You can
medallion.
also make karage out of cauliflower, which is good too.
All right. Well, okay. I found Chunk by Verasoy. And then I found it says slices. So I found slices. I don't see medallions, but I did find the chunk, and then it starts going right into the ground ones, essentially.
Interesting.
And it's fairly inexpensive. I may order this just to try
That's
it.
the thing with the TVP, is it's inexpensive. It's the cheapest thing to use.
Yeah. Oh, and it's in terms of like if you're watching your macros or anything, everybody, TVP is great for that. Very good. Well, I like to make a bunch of sides sometimes, Lauren, that I can just, make up one beautiful, nutritious plate with. Sometimes I'll just have that, and I'm sure you've experienced this, you're developing things and like it all ends up kind of being a side that you can make, a full plate with essentially. Is there a particular side dish in here that speaks to you that you might start the perfect plate with?
Yeah, it's interesting because am I in the right section, the sides? Or am I still in the mains? Oh, sorry, I'm getting mixed up.
That's all right. No, the
I
karage.
was looking at something else.
Yeah, the karage took us to sides. It's okay because everybody listening, what's fun about this book is it's not categorized like your typical cookbook. It starts off with main dishes, which is kind of wild, but also awesome because you get to the heart of it right away.
And even some of the sides, though, could be mains, like pear juice, like it's the same. Okay, I'm going to go to, and I didn't know it was called this. I always just called it cold tofu. I did eat this growing up. So I don't know how to say this. Hayayako. I feel like I'm missing the Japanese accent. Hayayako, 91. Cold tofu. Have you ever, Dustin, eaten just cold, soft tofu with soy sauce and green onion? So good.
I have. I think I've eaten it in Japan actually.
Ah.
And also down the street at a place here they brought it to a table. It was okay at the table here.
Yeah,
I
well,
wasn't vegan when I was in Japan. It was like 15 years ago. So like I don't have food memories of it because I
mm,
was eating not anything that I would eat now, you know. But I am having a memory of this on a plate and
yeah.
it was
Well,
delicious.
it's really yeah, I'd say it's very popular and all my relatives would eat it. And I think that's why I mean, I was vegetarian from the age of 12. I went back to eating meat about a decade later, but I was never afraid of, vegetables and tofu and just like all the kind of like alternative things because my mom was a little bit of like a health nut.
Sure.
Then the Japanese side was eating this, and I thought it was delicious because you put soy sauce all over it and the green onions or sesame oil. And it's funny because I am a bit of a hypocrite. I always talk about how tofu needs to be prepared and flavored and marinated and cooked properly in order to convince people who are tofu haters to eat it. And that I stand by. But it's very
But
authentic to eat the silken tofu kind of more plain and really taste the fermented soy. And
sure.
obviously, it's going to be better if you can get really nice, fresh tofu from somewhere in your area that might
Yeah.
have a really good tofu manufacturer nearby. And there's a few in LA because the better quality is obviously going to have more flavor than just like the kind at any grocery store in the water pack. But I do encourage people to try this. And I like that she makes a little bit more of an elaborate sauce than I ever
Oh
had.
yeah.
Just did soy sauce. But she's got mirin, sake, soy sauce, and kombu again for that
Mm-hmm.
umami sort of natural MSG,
Yep.
and she cooks that down a little bit. So I'm gonna try this with like the way she's made it, with the grated ginger on top. I would really like. You know what I would probably put though? I would probably put pickled sushi ginger,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of my favorite things ever, just to eat straight up.
Love it. Love it. You know what's interesting about this too? I do think that silken tofu tastes different plain than like
The
extra
firm.
firm tofu or
Mhm.
firm tofu at all because it's that different texture and I feel like, you don't press silken tofu. So I don't think this is just me talking out of my face here. Like it's not going to hold when you open the silken tofu. There isn't a little bit of water comes out, but it's not
Mhm.
like the firm tofu where like tons of water pours out and then you press it. Like silken isn't like holding on to a bunch of water, right? So I don't think so.
Like,
Like
it's got water in it, but it's the fermented flavored kind of water from
right.
the soy, and it's all contained within that, like, gelatinous form, so I guess that is where it gets more of its flavor.
Look at us, we're scientists. Oh wow, so talented. Well, I wanted to mention I saw in here the Japanese potato salad
Oh, yeah,
and I thought it was interesting to see a potato salad in a vegan Japan cookbook. And fortunately, Julia explains it to us
yeah.
again. She says potato salad was brought to Japan during the Meiji era more than a century ago. It is inspired by Russian salads made with potatoes, meat, hard-boiled eggs, mayonnaise, peas, and pickles. The Japanese version is less tart and generally made with ham and hard-boiled eggs, which she has omitted, mashed potatoes, cucumber, tomato, corn, and Japanese mayonnaise, making it richer and sweeter than Western versions. It sounds so much better than any Western version I ever had, that's for sure.
I love corn in anything, and corn in this, 100%.
Yes, yes,
And
yes,
I
yes,
like that
yes.
Japanese cuisine does use corn. If you go back a few pages again, which isn't super traditional, but it was, like, adapted through the history, the corn soup, like, I also have a Japanese pasta salad that I made, which is, like, similar, I feel like, to this, where
The
it's
kabocha squash pasta salad?
yes, it's got kabocha
Yes.
squash. It has a creamy miso dressing, so it's like mayonnaise and miso, and I put corn in
Yes.
it, and the corn is like you can't have it without the corn. And this Japanese potato salad was one of my picks, but it was hard for me to pick two per chapter. So I'm glad you're picking alternative things because I
The
remember
hope is.
eating like potato salad at the Toyota picnic, but it wasn't like the vinegar
Yeah.
sort of mayonnaisey potato salad that I'd have at other places. So my relatives must have been making some version of a Japanese pasta salad because it's almost like I can smell it and taste it
Yeah.
through looking at the picture.
I love
I
that. I
remember.
love that.
Yeah.
Have you ever met a potato you didn't like?
I'm not a huge I'm not a huge sweet potato fan.
Oh, that's okay. I get that. I
We
get
are obsessed with sweet potatoes, and they're not my favorite. Like, I would never pick sweet potato fries. Ugh.
Listen, you know what I gotta say about it? It's
Yeah,
not good. It's not bad.
yeah.
It's It's there. It's
It's
fine.
there. I try to make my kid eat them because I feel like they're very they're nutritious because of the dark orange as opposed to
Sure.
a white potato. But
Yeah.
it's like, how can I force him to eat if I don't even want to eat it?
Do what we do, turn it into a sauce, and
Mhm.
then just slather it on broccoli or tofu
Yeah,
or something, and
yeah,
there you go, we're good to go. Well, I'm really excited about this next section. We're getting into street food. So what
yeah.
looks good to you from this chapter?
Okay, wait, I'm still in sides. There's so many good sides. The street food looks good too. What did I flag? I flagged the karaoke, which is like I call it like it's a croquette, right? But it's sort of like a Japanese arancini,
Uh-huh.
right? Fry again, a fried, crunchy, creamy thing. And hers has potatoes as the base. Normally there would be like cheese in it. It's interesting too because I don't know if it's the Japanese or the Koreans, but people put cheese on their ramen. And dairy isn't very popular in Japanese cuisine at all. And I think the influence of North America has resulted in them putting a lot of dairy and cheese on certain
Yeah,
things that I feel like
sure.
shouldn't be there. And Asians are lactose intolerant.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, on a tangent, but yes, I like the karaoke, the first one, but there's also a kabocha version she has as well, which I think would be fantastic.
Well, and that's kind of what I love about this book. She gives multiple versions of
Yeah,
like things that looks and this karaoke looks so good. It looks like little like just like little potato puffs ultimately.
yeah.
Like a elevated tater tot. Now, do you like tater tots? Or do you
I
not like
love
tater
tater
tots? Okay,
tots.
thank you so much.
I just had some the
Um
other day.
I was gonna say, or the answer was yes, or like, oops, we got disconnected. I don't know what happened. Yeah, those karaoke look so good, and the variations are there. I was drawn to the, and I'm gonna say it wrong, but I'm gonna hit it with
Yeah.
my best shot. I was drawn to the okonomiyaki, which
Okonomiyaki, yeah.
say it
Okonomiyaki.
okonomiyaki. And
Which one?
again,
I have the Hiroshima style flag because I've never had it this way.
I've got the Osaka style flagged. Y'all,
Yeah.
we didn't plan this. It's the one that spoke to me. I almost, and again, it's the American in me. I'm like, this looks like pizza. Like I was like, oh, that looks so good. But it's sort of like pizza with a pancake base, which is
Yeah.
the cool thing about it. And Julia says this is the ultimate street food of Japan's Kansai region. There are many styles of the, say it again for me, Lauren, please.
Okonomiyaki.
Yes, okonomiyaki, but the most popular are from Osaka and Hiroshima. This recipe is based on the Osaka style version, which is a thick
Mhm.
pancake topped generously with cabbage and then cooked on a teppanyaki grill. However, for ease, I use a skillet instead of grill here, and okonomiyaki. Nah, I
Okonomiyaki. It's
I
okay.
really tried to gun it and go for it that time, and then I even caught myself. It can be served on its own, but if you like, you can serve it on the side of rice and enjoy it. And serve it with a side of rice and enjoy it like a real Osakan. So look at that.
Also, almost a lot of the recipes use the kombu dashi powder because that's where you're getting that just like that signature
Yes.
sort of Japanese flavor, right? And it's in everything.
I might switch over to the Hiroshima one now. I just turned the page and I can see why you chose that
Because
one.
it's on a bed of noodles. Like now
Yes.
we're cooking noodles and pancakes.
Yes. And I'm here for every second
And I
of it.
love
That's
that. So that's
good.
the Hiroshima style, which again, I'm very familiar with the Osaka style. I've made versions of it myself. I've made ones out of other cookbooks. I I've rarely run into a vegan version at a restaurant. I think I may have had
Sure.
one somewhere that wasn't that good. Um, but yeah, just I like that you can also customize this stuff to make it your own and like put as many toppings as you want, put as much nori as you want on it, put as
Yeah.
much Japanese mayo as you want on it. Like,
That's kind of the cool thing with this book, and in that basic section she gives you, you can really put those basics to use on
mhm,
all of these different items, really.
mhm.
Um, and then I had my eye on, and I feel like you might have as well. My husband loves corn. I like corn. The yaki tomorogoshi.
Yeah.
Are you looking at that one? So
Omorokoshi. Yeah, I've not known that this was a thing. Obviously, the Japanese love their corn. It must
yes.
grow there. It must grow there very well.
Well, and it's like a grilled street corn with butter and soy sauce. And for this variation, she uses a little bit of liquid smoke too. So she's getting all of these like sweet, savory butter flavors with all this. And then she's grilling the corn on the cob in that mixture. So she's getting
Yeah.
all of that those good flavors on there.
I mean, I do like when you look at every different type of cuisine, like cultural cuisine, there's like the same thing but slightly different, right? Like
Yeah.
elote or like Mexican street corn, right? Like everyone's got their version of this. So I liked seeing this and being like, oh yeah, they do a version too. Going back to miso butter, why don't you put miso butter on your corn on the cob? Haven't done that.
Yes! Just put miso butter on everything. Is
Yeah.
there a brand on the market of miso butter? Like, is it sold anywhere?
No. Is that
I
a
know. I'm
good
like,
product invention?
I was like, should I edit this out? Is this our new offering to the world?
I mean, you
Oh,
can obviously make it very easily by mixing, but I wonder, that's kind of a cool idea if there was different flavors of miso butter.
I
Copyright.
love it. All right, so we'll put a meeting on the books, Lauren.
Yeah, okay.
Well, she's got some more traditional items in here, like the gyoza and tempura too. So the street food section has you covered, listeners. And now we come to our sweet finale with desserts. Unless, did I leave anything out you wanted to mention in the
No,
last
I'm
one
just
there?
looking
Okay.
at the kabocha karaoke again because it
Oh,
does. Look at that. Kabocha
yeah.
is the
See,
best. If you have yet to have kabocha anything, just it's so good.
I have one of, us vegans get wild about our mac and cheese.
Mhm.
And I have my favorite cheese sauce I've made to date is a kabocha squash base to it.
Yum. I
It's
haven't
so
done that
good.
yet, even though I always have. In fact, I have a little bit. Maybe I'll experiment because I'm making a pumpkin mac and cheese for tomorrow's pop-up. But maybe I can.
See? Mac
Yeah,
and cheese.
I'm gonna roast these like whole pumpkins, like whole pie
Oh,
pumpkins.
so good.
Yeah,
Yum, yum, yum. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be delicious.
and then do a
I
little
love
bit of
that.
smokiness in it too.
Yes. Oh, good. I'm so jealous of everyone that's going to be there. Well, we're in desserts. So, Lauren, how do you feel about sweet red bean soup? Is my question for you.
It's interesting because Japanese desserts, same as Chinese desserts, they're not my favorite because they're often quite savory, not
Right.
super sweet. Again, very rice based, like lots of mochi, glutinous rice flour, because rice is a staple in the cuisine. So I get we're using it for dessert. I'm not gonna lie, it's not my favorite thing to eat. Like, I'd rather eat all the rice at dinner, but then do I want rice for dessert? Not really.
Totally.
That's my thing, even though these do look beautiful.
Well, and that's kind of why they do look gorgeous. And I
Mhm.
think I feel the same, right?
Mhm.
But I also feel like there's a taste for it. Like and I personally have just grown up in a world of like sweet, sweet, sweet for dessert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think had I not been conditioned that way, I might be like, oh, like geared a little more towards this. I do think when you have a dessert like this where it does have the sweet red bean soup. So everybody, I'm talking about something called zenzei, I think it's
Yeah,
called.
Zenzei or Zenzai, I don't know.
And it's well, let's see what she has to say about it here.
Mhm.
So zenzai, let's go with that,
Mhm.
is a traditional Japanese dessert made up of mochi, chewy rice cakes, and sweet red bean soup. So zenzai is said to ward off illness and evil spirits, which is why it is commonly placed on household altars as an
Mhm.
offering. It is usually eaten during fall and winter, but a chilled version is enjoyed in the summer. These are made with subu on chunky red bean paste. So the concept of it is very intriguing
I
to
love the
me.
concept.
And I also feel like when I'm looking at desserts like this, it just feels like an experience overall. So like, and that picture is gorgeous. I'd be game to try it, but
And
I never gravitate towards it. You know
I
what I
know,
mean?
me too, and I think that's just the difference of, like, growing up in North America, like Canada or America, where our food is one way and, like, yeah,
Yeah.
the sweets are sweet and indulgent and insane, but the Japanese are so, you know, level-headed, conservative, reserved. They're not over the top. They're not gluttonous. They're spiritual. So, like,
Yeah.
I respect this, but again, if you don't grow up with it and you don't have the nostalgia or the memory of it, you're kind of like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'll taste it, but I don't think I'm
Yeah.
going to make it because I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to eat it all.
Yep. Yeah.
But the ice cream, okay, I went through the ice creams look good, and I'm a big like to make the odd ice cream here and there. And this
Yeah.
was so interesting on page 146. I've never heard of this. Kinako ice cream, which is like a toasted soybean ice cream or a roasted soybean ice cream. So it's a bit like peanut, she says. Um, because of course, like green tea ice cream is probably the most common one. You get that at like a sushi restaurant. Do you want me to read the
Yeah, please.
thing? So frozen desserts of every kind are enjoyed throughout Japan's hot summers. They come in all forms, on sticks, in pots, in the shape of fruit, as soda-flavored ice pops, and even shaved ice, the famous kakigori. And of course, there's ice cream. The most common flavors vanilla, matcha, and chocolate. But I love this version made with kanako, which is what the roasted soybean powder is, kanako, which tastes a bit like peanuts. And it just looks so good. A bit like I have a
Yes.
tahini caramel ice cream. It sort of looks like that.
It looks so good. I wonder, does she tell us what she has drizzled on top of it there?
Yeah, it is Japanese sugar that's been sort of melted. I've never heard of this. Kurosato, unrefined Japanese sugar, or you could use dark brown sugar.
Nice. Yeah, it looks so good. There's also a black sesame ice cream in here that I had my eye on too.
I like the savoriness of sesame ice cream.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are my topics. The other thing I thought was cute, because I didn't, again, not being familiar with lots of traditional Japanese things, but this mochi, which is the one that the emoji on our phones looks like.
Yes. The Sanshoku Dango emoji?
Yeah, right? That's the emoji we have.
Yes.
It's that one. So I didn't know it had a, I didn't know it was a specific thing.
I didn't either. And I love the color of these. She says, so for the Sanshoku Dango mochi, the arrival of spring in Japan is marked by hanami, the traditional custom of viewing the cherry blossoms, when Japanese people gather to picnic under the blossoming trees. Sanshoku Dango, literally dango with 3 colors, is a dessert comprised of 3 colorful skewered rice dumplings, 1 pink to symbolize cherry blossoms, 1 white to recall the past winter snow, and 1 green to represent spring grass, and it is commonly enjoyed at these picnics. And it really does just look like a nice, fun, picnicky thing to have. And so many great sweet treats in here. There's something called melon pan that looks like a cookie.
Yeah, it's like a cookie, but it's
she uses cake flour for it. So it's probably got a nice like soft chew to it. And there's this Ichigo Dafuku. Did you see this one at all?
Yeah, with the strawberry and the mochi.
Yes. So, and maybe we'll close out on this one because it does, like, this would be a really fun one to serve at a dinner party or something.
Yeah.
Have you been to ABCV in New York?
I love that place.
Last time David and I were there, they served us a peanut butter and jelly mochi.
Ooh.
We ate it so fast. And it was like
in the middle, like
and it was so big, and we were like, how's that gone already? We want 12 more of them. What just happened? Because we love mochi in general. So about this Ichigo Dafuki is a type of mochi filled with sweet red bean paste. There we go. But it's in this, it's got the strawberry, the red bean paste, like all that together. I'm kind of like, ooh, I want that bite. One of the most popular wagashi Japanese treats, usually enjoyed with green tea. It is found almost everywhere in Japan, even in konbinis, 24/7 convenience stores. Ichigo means strawberry, so as the name suggests, a strawberry is hidden inside. This wagashi is especially delicious because of how the tartness of the fruit complements the sweet anko paste.
I think that's why this is nice, because of the fruit cutting up. I agree. Like, again, with that soup, it's like all the same texture, but with this, you're getting something, not that a strawberry is crunchy, but it's crunchy in comparison to gooey stuff. So
it's a nice bite with like some different flavors in there, and like you're saying, having the red bean paste with something sweet in there too. There's something called dorayaki in here that looks like it's like almost like pancakes that are filled with the red bean paste, maybe.
Yeah, she even says making this pancake vegan was a challenge, but with the right tools and ingredients, you can recreate these delicacies at home.
And it looks so fluffy and yummy. And then the last one in here is a dessert called yokon.
Yeah.
And I've seen these. They're so beautiful. It's in this, it's a purple square. I'm wondering, is that bottom part made out of, what is that made out of?
I think it's also the red bean paste jelly.
Yep.
Uncooked.
Yeah, it's just transferred. And then it's got a topping. So it's got like 2 layers to it. She's got some beautiful edible flowers in this photo. So it says, for the yokon, out of all of the wagashi traditional Japanese sweet treats, yokon is my favorite. It is a sort of jelly made from sweet anko paste. There are two types of yokon, neri yokon, which has a firmer texture, and mitsu yokon, which contains more water and breaks apart more easily and is what I use here. This recipe includes 2 jellies, one wine red thanks to anko paste, and the other transparent to lay on the surface. Does she go over what anko or anko paste is in the beginning of the book?
I don't know if at the beginning, but I thought back where we were talking about the red beans kind of soup thing. The zenzai. I thought she said anko.
Because I'm curious to know what it is exactly. Anko red bean paste.
Anko.
Oh, red bean paste.
Red bean paste.
That's what that was. You said that already, I think. So sorry, I missed that.
These are the kind of things, though. I want Julia to make all these desserts for us so we can try them, because they are very traditional. They're a little more complex, like doing a layered jelly thing.
Yeah.
I'm all for
it's so beautiful though, right? Those are the things where I'm like it's you see it and you're just like, well, this is a work of art. Like, how can I even eat this?
Yeah,
I love it.
And it's interesting because I've never even heard of ten, which is like a variation of agar.
Yeah.
Never heard of that. Interesting. And I'm having a memory because momiji is the word for Japanese maple leaves, which momiji is the name of this like cultural Japanese center in Canada. My aunt's a member. It's called momiji. Like, that's the name of it, but I didn't even know what momiji meant. So I'm just like learning, which I love.
I love it.
I love Japanese maple trees.
We've had what's that about the maple trees?
I just love Japanese maples.
Oh.
They're so pretty. But that's what she's saying to garnish with. Momiji.
Oh, is that what that is? That's not.
Well, these are edible flowers, but she's talking about you could use a Japanese maple leaf as a garnish, but I bet they're hard to find. I mean, she's not even using them.
I'm sure, but what she has, well, I think her world is very interesting. She's, living in Paris, but then she's got this history that she has with food. So she's got a very infused life when it comes to food,
and
which it must be really cool.
Intricate French cuisine is. And then there are so much like intricate techniques in Japanese cooking too, like a lot of care and thought, you know what I mean? Even in something that is like for street food, like even like street food, and you think of street food as being like cheap and kind of messy, but like Japanese street food is like artistic, like onigiri and like shaping the rice balls and that kind of thing. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, obviously that's like, there's lots of care put into creating these types of dishes.
Yes, and she's brought it all to us in vegan Japan. So our next step is to get Julia to cook for us. That's what we're going to do. That's Vegan Japan by Julia Boucachard. Whether you're craving a comforting bowl of miso ramen or intrigued by how to veganize Japanese classics like karaki, this cookbook proves that plant-based Japanese cuisine is not only possible, but absolutely delicious. Now, Lauren, before I let you off the hook here, I have one more piece of business with you. It's time for your rapid fire round of questions. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, here we go. Tofu or tempeh?
Tofu.
Cast iron skillet or nonstick pan?
Cast iron.
Vegan burgers or vegan tacos?
Burger? That's hard.
Heard. Parenting books or parenting podcast?
Neither.
There you go. Sweet or savory?
Savory.
Farm to table or fusion cuisine?
Fusion.
Almond milk or oat milk?
Almond.
Structured routine or go with the flow?
Go with the flow.
Roasted veggies or steamed veggies?
Roasted.
Play date at the park or indoor activities?
Wait, play date at the park or what?
Indoor activities.
Play date at the park.
I thought
I hate both.
I thought you were gonna be like, was napping an indoor activity? Is that one? That's one. Meal prep or takeout?
Meal prep.
Avocado toast or peanut butter toast?
Avocado toast.
Seasonal menu or fixed menu?
Ooh, fixed.
Okay. All right. There you did it. That's your rapid fire. Look at
Thank
that.
you.
Rapid as can be.
Fixed because I don't like when I go back and the thing that I like isn't there.
You make a very fine point. Yes, I also do not care for that either. Though I will say this about Jenny's ice cream. I know you're not listening, but I wish you were. You've had the seasonal dairy-free lemon bar on the menu for about 2 years when it used to just be there in the summer. Now, I love the lemon bar.
Yeah.
I might even say I'm obsessed with it a little bit.
Mm,
However, can we please make it seasonal so I can look forward to it again? Because now,
yeah.
since Jenny's only has 2 dairy-free options when I go, it's always the chocolate Texas sheet cake or the lemon bar. I would like some options now. That's it.
Mhm.
I'll get the petition signed and send it out. Well, Lauren, please tell everyone where they can find you on socials and the internet.
Yes, hotforfoodblog.com, as we mentioned, at Hot for Food, at Lauren Toyota, all over the place, Instagram and TikTok. And that's basically it. I'm around. Just Google me.
Perfect, right? She'll pop up, promise. And don't forget, my sweet bebes, that you can hire the delightful and delicious services of Chef Lauren Toyota with Hot for Food at home, or if you're in LA, you want to get your hands on those Thanksgiving goods. Maybe there'll be another version because, again, I don't know if the episode will be out by then. So now we can just have you thinking and wish that you had it. Maybe you want to take a trip with Lauren. You do some trips too.
Oh,
Do you have any trips coming up?
Yes, I am. Thanks for reminding me. I don't know how
Yeah.
I forgot that. I travel and host vegan getaways with the Getaway Co. And the upcoming trip is May 17th to 24th in Croatia.
Nice.
There's a few spots left. So you can find that at the link in my bio as well. Like if you find me on Instagram, but you can go to thegetawayco.com and go to upcoming getaways and you can see all of them. Erin Ireland is hosting Italy next summer.
Great.
There's a bunch of trips, but Croatia is the one I'm hosting.
Y'all, I got to tell you too, it looks like if someone signs up for a trip with you, they're signing up for the trip of a lifetime because it looks like a blast. Like you really look like you bring it for the people and that you all just have like community and a really great time together.
Yeah, it is the community aspect because the thing we hear the most often from all these people coming from all over the world and joining a group is that they have no vegan friends. They feel isolated and alone. They don't get to eat what they want when they want with their friends because they're forced to go to non-vegan places. And so it's nice to just be with a group of like 17 to 25 people who are all on the same page about, what to eat. Plus all those meals are taken care of for you. So you're getting to
think about it.
You don't have to think about it. You don't need to be like going on Happy Cow wondering where to go 3 times a day. We take care of that for you.
So good. So everybody, only a few spots left. Get on it. You want to go to Croatia with Lauren Toyota? Of course, you can have Hot for Food at your fingertips if you order one of or both of Lauren's cookbooks, Vegan Comfort Classics 101 Recipes to Feed Your Face, or Hot for Food All Day Easy Recipes to Level Up Your Vegan Meals. Everywhere books are sold, you can add those to your cart when you are purchasing Vegan Japan's 70 Comforting Plant-Based Recipes by Julia Boucachard. Lauren, you're the best. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for making the time and joining me for another episode. It was great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Love you.
Thank you so much for listening. We'd be so grateful if you would rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. It really does help us.
Yes, thank you so much. And don't forget to check out keeponcooking.com for all of the latest in recipes and Keep On Cooking updates. This has been a Muzzy Cat production.